I'm making a video, and I'm making a video because I'm in a position, and I'm sort of determined. No, not I'm sort of. I am determined to change the position in which I'm in. So I feel like speaking about the situation I'm in, where I'm at, and my ideas will naturally attract better solutions to myself. So essentially, I'm in a situation where I'm into property, man. All I really do is property deals, and specifically in property, I'm involved in rentals, leasing property. So there's two ways I make money right now. There's cash, there's straight cash, and there's cash flow. So the way I make cash is if I get a property deal. Let's say this property right here, the landlord wants to rent it and they're happy to give it to a company. If I get that offer agreed, I pass it on to an investor that wants to operate any type of business model, service accommodation, HMO, supported living, social housing, all of this stuff. That's one way. So I can sell that lease basically for a fee. I've done that last week, the week before. On paper, the average deal fee is £3,000. But to be honest, when you build a relationship with investors and you're doing them volume, you never really do a 3,000. Last deal I did was a 3-bed, and we did that for 2.5. There's a bit of a push to get, well, not really. They wanted to do 2. I would have done 2, but you know what? I needed money a bit more than I did. So I asked for 2.5. I got 2.5. So I did 2.5. So anyway, hopefully I got another deal to do like that. Now, that's great. That's great. When I first heard this, I was about 16 years old. Find properties and give it to people and you can get paid £3,000. Bearing in mind when I was 16 to 18, £3,000 was a lot of money, man. A lot of money. You know what? It's still kind of a lot of money. That's a monthly salary. But you know what? It's easier said than done with literally everything there is. Mainly the reason, for me personally, is the acquisition of the asset. The way I acquire my assets is paid advertising. So I invest money into marketing to get the opportunities to get these properties to sell them. So it costs money for me to get these assets. Now, without going too in depth into my business, let's say roughly it costs me $1,000 to $1,500 average to get one of these deals in terms of marketing costs. Now, if I'm selling it for 2, 2.5, 3, those are quite thin margins, you know. And I don't just it's not predictable like that. I might spend $1,000, $2,000, get nothing, then within my £3,000 budget I might get 2 free. That's how it works. So that's one way I make money. Now the second way I make money is the acquisition, taking on the lease myself. So in taking on the lease myself, essentially it's the same process up into advertising to get the property, agreeing it with the landlord. Now the only difference is instead of selling that lease for a fee, I take on that property and I operate myself. Now there's quite a few ways, as I said, that you can do it. One of the ways is service accommodation, more commonly known to the layman as Airbnb, using nightly rates. Now this is good because you can make a decent sum of money, morning, afternoon, night. You can make a decent sum, you didn't respond to me. You can make a decent sum of money every month, but the only thing is you're taking on a higher risk factor. You know, your rent might be 2k. I've got bookings for 2.5, 3k when my rent's been 2k in a week. And if you get another booking, you're laughing. But also that opens you up to, if you don't get bookings, you know, you have to cover your costs all by yourself. So I've got a few deals like that. And to be honest, I think this year's been quite a difficult year in terms of nightly rates. It's been a very competitive, it's not been as much demand. I think that's because there's more supply. But you know, it's been okay, but it's not as lucrative. And the thing is with this business model, when you make money, let's say you make £1,000 profit, yeah, you're happy, take it, spend it. But you know, when you have to cover the rent yourself, it's not the greatest feeling in the world. So that business is a bit up and down. You know, you got to have cash, you got to have patience, you got to be ready to go with the ups and go with the downs as well. So that's it. So now recently I've come across a new model, which is what, you know, more commonly known to the masses as social housing, like Airbnb, service accommodation. Not really technically, I guess it is kind of social housing, but it's easier to say like that. Now the benefit with social housing is, you know, it's fixed terms. You know, but yeah, that's a benefit really, to be honest. Like, it's not as much money as you're gonna get from an Airbnb service accommodation. It's less money, but it's fixed money. It's standing order money, and you know, from the gov. So it's more reliable way to build your income. Now, for me personally, you know, I'm still, let's say, a beginner businessman. You know, I've been doing business for let's call it 2 to 5 years, innit? Depending on if we're talking about my operations versus running my actual business. It depends on that kind of scale of it. But I say, like, you know, I'm still in my first degree of business. This year I might get my master's, basically. By this time next year, you know, I've completed my BSc, I'm going into my master's, my final year, whatever. Anyway, so the cost, or to be fair, it depends on what kind of, well, it always depends. But basically, the issue with this business model is it takes a lot of capital. It takes a lot of money to get a deal started and doesn't pay enough money. So basically, let me give you an example. Let's give you an example. So I've got a 3-bedroom flat. The rent is 2.5. Yeah, the rent is 2.5. And then to furnish it, let's say I spent about £2,000 to furnish it. So I spent about 4.5 to 5k. Now the thing is with this social house and stuff, you know, because it's like these official government organizations and so, it's not like a service apartment, so Airbnb, where you slap it on, you get a booking, you get paid. It's not like that. It's, you know, it's payment in arrears is the best way to describe. No, that is what it is. It's payment in arrears. So you might take on a property, get it booked, but you won't get that payment from that property till like 45 to 60 days. Let's say today's the 11th. If I had a property today, I'd get paid my money from April in March. What am I saying? May. Sometime in May, towards the end of May. So you have to wait. So anyway, the best way to describe that is you have to pay 2 months out of pocket before you get your payment back. But what you get paid back is not the full, you get paid for the month. So let's say, look, let's explain it. Today, let's say, call it the 15th of April to make it easy. So let's say I booked a property on the 15th of April, inshallah. I'd book it, then at the end of April, beginning of May, I send my invoice. And I send my invoice for the 15th of April to, let's say there's 30 days in April. I don't know if there is, but let's say there's 30. 15 days I send my invoice. Now, I would have paid rent for 1 month, that whole month. Yeah, that's what I would have paid rent for that whole month, that month. But I would only be able to invoice my April for the 15 days. And I'd get that payment sometime in May. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. But they've got 30 days, is what they say. Net 30 terms. Now, what that means is when it's May again, I've got to pay another month's rent. But I won't get my May payment till June. So on and so forth. Do you understand? So this business model is good that the money is fixed order. It's easy to build. But it takes a lot of capital to get in before you get out. Not even before you get out. You're basically looking at it as you're buying cash flow. You're buying cash flow because you see, if you do an Airbnb, right, you usually got your furnishing, your rent deposits. I guess it's the same thing with business. But you know what? In some Airbnb situations, I've taken on a property. That week I've had a booking. It's covered the rent. I'm basically in the green from the first week. You know what I mean? So this one is there, like, you know, you're not getting your money back for a while. And you know, with these property prices and that rents are 2k, 3k, you know, you're putting in 7 to 10 grand to maybe see £1,000 profit back. If that's a good deal, to be honest. If you get £1,000 profit on it, it's a good deal. You know, if you get more, it's better. But anyway, those are the situations. So I've done a couple of deals. I've got a couple of everything, you know. And I like the service accommodation business model. Grateful to God. That's the come up. But I think the industry is sort of changing, you know. It's definitely changing. And that change, I got to change with it. But you see, the thing is, yeah, that's what I mean. All this money invested, yeah, put this in to get £1,000 profit per month. That's great. Don't get me twisted. £1,000 profit per month is great. But for me, do you know how long 1 month is? Do you know how many expenses I've got? I pay like £30,000 in rent every single month, you know. Like £30,000 in rent every single month. Pay that every single month. All these different properties and deals I've got going on. All this money I pay. Me personally, yeah, I view wealth. We're talking about wealth because we're not doing this. I don't do this run around. I don't do all of this stuff because I want to be poor. I do it because I want to be successful. I want to be well off. You know what I mean? So I look at it, life as these tiers, you know. You know, there's 0 to 5, which is, you know, a job or like a beginner business. It's cool. Then, you know, I look at like 10k per month. I've had my business at the point where it's doing 10k profit per month, alhamdulillah. But as I said with that, it was variable. So sometimes it was on, sometimes it was a bit lower. So You know, it's good. But, you know, see, the thing is, at that kind of level of income, see, if we're talking about the 5 to 10k per month, yeah, even let's say 0 to 10k per month, if you're gonna make income in the area of 0 to 10k per month, it is better served that you do it for a job than you do it for a business, in my personal opinion. I feel like there's different business models that can do it a bit differently. You know, maybe if it's an online business and there's no margins and it's very easy to run. But you see, my kind of business, yeah, I've got so much expenses, so much rent, that even that every time I was getting the money, it never felt like I'd get the money, because I'd always have to pay a rent next week. I always would have to pay something next week, or I'd spend money on advertising to get more. I'd have to pay a bill, or I'd have to do a refund. So even though, yeah, like net on the assets, they made that 8 to 10k per month, or let's even call it 8 to 12. I never felt like I saw it. I never felt rich. I felt richer when I was 16 and I was making a couple £1,000 when I was selling phones and whatnot and all of this stuff. Not to compared to when I was getting all this large money amounts from property. Like, I never felt rich because I had so many expenses. That's the pure reason. I never got to like blow money through that time. Yeah, I went on a couple holidays in the beginning, which was the beginning as well. So like, I should have made it back. But you know, I never felt rich. That's all I can say about that. So at that 0 to 10k per month, I feel like if you've got a job, and I say this because if you've got a job, you've got stability. You know, you've got a schedule, you've got a routine, and a lot of your time is tied up as well, which is cost/benefit. You know, as an entrepreneur, like, yo, I got nothing but time every single day, really. You know, obviously I got to do stuff, but if I wanted to go out and do something, I can. So it opens up a lot more opportunities for me to spend my money. And so there's more opportunities for me to spend. How do I say this? Basically, if you work a job, yeah, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you can't go out and splash your money extravagantly. You basically reserve it for the weekends. And because you reserve it for the weekends, it's a finite time of which you can enjoy. So you can enjoy scheduled enjoyably. If you're an entrepreneur, because you can kind of manipulate your time, you can basically do this all the time. So the larger amount of availability to do so, and you not doing so, makes it feel less rich than someone who's only got a couple amount of days to spend their money. I hope that makes sense. It's basically the availability of enjoyment. You know, if you can only enjoy yourself 1 or 2 times a week, and what your budget is can max that, you'll feel richer than someone who can enjoy themselves 5 to 7 times a week, but they can only maybe finance 1 to 2, the same amount of time as you, basically. That's basically what I'm trying to say there. So yeah, so basically, then okay, once you get to the 10k, I feel like the next significant stage is like 30 to 40k. And I say that because, you know, everything I'm doing is basically 10k of my money was basically going to investing back into the business. Yeah, and I didn't really get to save personally that much money, if I'm being honest. Yeah, if I'm being so honest. So I look at it as like, yeah, at the 30 to 40k per month, you can invest 10k back into your business to grow it. So your business is still growing instead of just making money and, you know, stagnating, which is what I didn't want to do. But I ended up investing money into the business to stagnate. So I guess if I didn't invest into the business and I just spent the money, I might be in a better, I don't know, who knows, it's done now. Anyway, so yeah, 10k invest into the business, 10k personal savings. So this is exclude your business, exclude the growth of your business, exclude spending, you can just save it. And I look at 10k as spending money. Now, if you get to that breathing room around 30k per month, I just feel like you'll be good. I haven't touched that yet, so I can't really relay that information to you. But from where I've been and the way I've spent and I've lived my life, I just look at it like, yeah, what I was basically doing, I was making 8 to 12 and I was investing 5 to 8 back into the business. And then my expenses were maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3. So I didn't feel rich because I couldn't save and I wasn't really extravagantly spending. I was just living, so to speak. And I was investing it back into expenses for the business and investments for the business. So it is what it is. So at that 30 to 40k per month, yeah, like, yeah, I feel you'd be good. And after that, I look at 30 to 40k to 100k per month. And I basically say it's the same thing, isn't it? You spend the 30, invest the 30, save the 30, 100k per month, you're super rich. Now look, there's 2 types of people I've seen kind of in life so far in my life. I said life like 3 times. there's this niche group of online entrepreneurs, people that make money online, and these kind of figures are exactly normal to them. What, 30k a month, 100k per month, 200, a million a month, normal online entrepreneurs. And there's people who kind of like work jobs and have small time businesses, and when you're talking about 10, 30, 40, 50k per month, they feel like you're delusional. Now, in my business, these figures can be achieved. Most definitely. I know people making $1 million a month for what, basically exactly what we're doing, to be honest. But you know, it just comes with time. If I was able to take on a property every month, if I was able to take on a new property every week with the favourable investment terms, I'd be at that 30 to 40k per month. But now, see, I told you it costs like £1,000 a deal. So that means I need to invest like, no. That was a marketing cost, 1,000 to 1,500, 1,002k. Now, that's the marketing cost. So basically, I need to invest £100,000, 50 to £100,000 in marketing just to make that happen. Let's call it 75k. Then I need the rents and the depots and the furnishing costs. Let's call it 75 times 50. I'm doing some serious maths right now. Let's do 75 times 100. That'd be 75,000. 700. Well, it's a lot of numbers, bro. I can't even do the maths off the top of my head. Let's just do 50 times 5 to 250 at 1,000. $250,000. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Bro. So let's call it 300k. 300k all in to get to 30k per month. You see, on the face value of it, that's not bad. Like, that's 20% on your money in the first year. And that's, these are the upper limits. So if I had 300k, within a year I could turn that into 30k per month. So if somebody was willing to give me 300k for 24 months, within the first year I could pay it back, and then the next year would be profit. Or we could go 50-50. So you see the thing, it's a dialogue. But look, this is the thing. I ain't got 300k. I ain't got it right now. Like, not with me right now. It's not in my bank accounts right now. But I want to get to 30 to 40k per month, so I can live the life I want to live. And now I would like to live it now, because I've got all the knowledge, I've got all the assets, I've got all the skills. The only thing I'm missing is the capital. Now, if I go back to the first way I make money, I've got to sell 100 flipping property deals. So 100 to 200 property deals to save up that 300k. It's also possible, but then again, all those deals need marketing costs. It's a vicious cycle I'm in right now. So yeah, this is all. I feel there's not really a solution to this, because this is the life I'm living right now. So I'm making money, but not really making how much I want to make. And the reason I'm not making how much I want to make is because there's capital that's needed to grow the business, because I'm in a capital intensive business basically, which is a bit of a doozy. Wish I could manifest these properties. If I can, so look, there's two ways, Anyway, let me, there's obviously everything can be solved. It's just maths at the end of the day. There's two ways I can solve this issue, or this situation. One, I figured out how to get properties for cheaper. Or two, I make each property deal more value. Now, if you're a businessman or entrepreneur or just a person of logic, number two is always better than number one, because if it only costs me, let's say 1k to 2k to get a deal right now, I can only really go down to 1 to 2k, I can only save 1 to 2k per deal, which is decent. But technically, in terms of property deals, the value can go infinitely up. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, Instead of picking up one property in South London here, a property in East London there, a property in West London there, making my 1k, making my 2k, making my 1k profit per month. Because see, the thing is, the climb from 0 to 10 isn't that bad. You could do that in, let's say, 5 to 8 property deals. You could do that in like 3-month time period or something like that. 3 to 6 months, let's say. To be honest, when money was landing quickly, I secured like 4 properties in like a 2-week basis when money was dropping. So it can be done. But obviously I invested a lot to make that happen for the return. But you see, when you're talking about getting to 30, 40k per month, it's exponentially different. And not even in just the acquisition of each deal, it's the problems that compound with each deal. If you've got like 5 to 8 properties and there's like a boiler issue on 1 or 2 of them, that's reasonable. But if you've got 20 to 25 properties and that same proportion, what was that, like 10, 20% have got boiler issues, now you've got 4 to 8 properties with boiler issues, you know, the cost of marketing goes up as you invest. So it gets more expensive. So everything becomes harder. 0 to 10 is not the same as 10 to 20. Obviously, the benefit you've got is that the capital coming in from those units. But it's a lot of hand to hands. And I don't want to do that because I've got a limited bandwidth. I realise, I've got communication issues. Like, I'm not a great communicator. Like, as in, and I say that as in, not that I can't convey my ideas and speak well, is that I've got a limited amount of patience and bandwidth to deal with that outer world. So that means at any given time I can only kind of communicate with X amount of people, which obviously can increase with time and effort and energy. But that being said, is I look at it as like, I don't want 40 to 50 landlords and all that. Like, that's not a dream life for me, because it will ultimately come with a lot of stress, a lot of work, a lot of energy. It will feel draining. So what I'm trying to do, instead of picking up 8 to 10 properties, I'm trying to find a block. It's got like 30 or 40 units, man. I'm trying to find a block and do a deal. I'll just pay at least like 10, 20 a month. Then like, this is one block, one person, or maybe 2, 3 people, decision makers to convince. Because, I promise you, man, it's the same effort and energy to convince the landlord of a studio flat to give it to a company as it is to convince a developer with a flipping 60 units to do the same thing. It's the same energy. So instead of spreading that energy across 10, 20 people, just find a group of 3, 4 people, and to get someone to give you 10 grand is the same to get someone to give you 100k. If my peers, my age mates, are willing to invest 10k in the deals that I present to them, it will not be difficult to convince somebody to put 100k, 50k, 100k into a deal. If the numbers stack up and rise up the same, it might need a bit more due diligence, a bit more, what's it called? Oh, it's that word, man. Oh, mate, principle, yeah, a bit more principle. You might have to put more skin in the game, but it's ultimately the same thing. So that's what I'm trying to do. And funnily enough, I was talking to my boy about the same issue. I was like, man, am I being impatient? Do I just need to do another 3-year stretch of one-to-ones and add all these properties to my portfolio slowly? And then, I have to do this for 3 years. Then, at 3 years, I get to earn maybe 30k per month. It's like, sounds like a long time. That's what I thought. I don't know if I'm being impatient. Because I look at 30k is not the end goal, man. Can't buy a Lambo with that. Got to save up for a whole year to buy a Lambo. It's not even rich, like. Humbly, obviously being humbly, but people have Lamborghinis. It exists. It's out there. This is not even including the T word and all those things. So it's got to be done better, more quicker, and more efficient. It has to be done. Has to be. So anyway, I'll talk to my boy about this. I put a campaign on live, and you know what? I went live with that campaign, and that same day, a developer called me. They said they got some units in. They had 31 units in Surrey, and I felt, subhanallah, God has answered my praise quickly, swiftly, immediately. Now I was trying to get the unit gone, but you know what? The price of the unit was just way too expensive. There was no profit in. Couldn't get a finance fee. Couldn't get cash flow. But you know what? If I can do that and have that opportunities coming to me consistently, like I told you, it's £1,000, and basically the numbers on that is it's about 50 leads to one deal. 50 leads to get one deal with landlords. It's got to be something crazy with developers. But then again, it goes back to the custom market. It's a situation I'm in anyway, and where I want to be now. So that's just a little intro into my life and how I'm trying to get richer, quicker, swifter, more efficient. So yeah, that's me, man.